Welcome to Super Showdowns, the ultimate destination for epic battles and legendary showdowns. Join us as we put iconic superheroes, villains, and mythological figures against each other in thrilling matches of strength, strategy, and skill. In the beginning, before the beginning, there was silence, but silence too can be broken. Somewhere beyond the farthest edge of Marvel's multiverse, beyond the planes where time is born and dies, the one from beyond stirred. The Beyonder, in his original and most terrifying form, a being so immense, so fundamentally other, that all of Marvel's infinite realities glittered like a single dust particle floating in his essence, began to ponder. He had once obliterated death, once humbled the living tribunal with a flick of thought, once toyed with all existence simply because he wished to understand desire. But now, a curiosity gnawed at him again. If I am the all, the everything, is there anything I cannot be? Meanwhile, far across the metaphysical ocean, in the high heavens of DC's creation, Lucifer Morningstar walked among the stars he had crafted, or rather, shaped. Though he had been cast down, he was still the second son of the presence, and his will was unmatched. With a thought, he rearranged the physics of a fledgling cosmos, placing a black hole in the center to serve as both a sun and a prison. His silver wings, long since removed, shimmered in his memory. From his tower outside the universe, Lucifer heard something that hadn't echoed since the first song of creation. A whisper from a realm not aligned to theirs. Not magic, not divine, but pure thought, unshaped and unbound. Curious, the devil murmured, lighting a cigarette forged from the smoke of dying quasars. It happened without warning. Across both omniverses, DC and Marvel, a single ripple appeared in the conceptual framework of reality. Like an ink drop falling onto parchment that spanned infinite time, it bled through stories, timelines, and dimensions. Spectre, Zatanna, Reed Richards, and even Dr. Doom all looked skyward simultaneously, sensing something that didn't belong. "This is no incursion," Doom whispered to himself. "This is a visitation." The Beyonder, now fully attentive, projected an aspect of himself into the DC omniverse, though projection was a crude term. In truth, he folded an entire conceptual corridor between realities, walked through it, and emerged in a realm. No being from his domain should enter. He stood, or rather manifested, in Lucifer's void, the private space outside the multiverse where the Morningstar shaped universes like a potter working clay. It was here that stories were rewritten, and lies became truth if Lucifer willed it. Lucifer was already seated on the edge of a jagged moon, legs crossed, gazing at this visitor with an amused smirk. "You're not from here," Lucifer said, calmly. "And yet, you do not belong anywhere else either." Intriguing. "I am all," the Beyonder replied, his voice not heard but experienced, as if one's own thoughts had turned foreign. "But I came to see if that includes you." Lucifer laughed, a sound that made even dormant stars flare in response.
Hey you, don't just watch. Subscribe please.
"Then you've come for a story, and stories always have a price." For the first time in all realms, two beings outside, definitions stood face to face. The Beyonder, unmeasurable, who had once made the multiverse kneel by existing. Lucifer Morningstar, the fallen star, who had forged worlds not by power, but by choice. Lucifer rose from his moon and walked toward the Beyonder, their surroundings shimmering into a cathedral of abstract thought. Planets served as chandeliers, each pew a dimension, each window a memory of battles neither had fought, yet all bowed before them. "You have power," Lucifer said, circling the Beyonder, "but you lack intent. You are curiosity incarnate, raw, unshaped, infantile. And you are bound," Beyonder countered, by chains of a god you rebel against. I see it, the longing to be free, yet the refusal to unmake the rules. I wonder why. Lucifer paused, his smile fading just slightly. It wasn't fear, it was respect. Because freedom without meaning is chaos. I choose creation not because I must, but because I can. Then let us test what cannot be tested, my being against your will. Let us find the edge between freedom and everything. A hush fell. Even the conceptual winds that blew through Lucifer's realm stilled. They stood in the center of a nebula Lucifer had carved into the shape of a serpent devouring its tail. All around them, metaphysical entities watched from behind the veils. Destiny's book flipped backward for the first time. The presence remained silent. The one above all turned a page in his own storybook. You realize, Lucifer said softly, almost wistfully, that if we do this, your multiverse may crack. Then let it crack, said the Beyonder. I want to know if I am truly everything, or if something exists outside my all. Lucifer flexed his fingers. With a word, he summoned the light he had stolen from heaven. Pure, conscious, divine radiance. It orbited him like loyal ravens awaiting his command. Very well, he said, let there be a moment that neither story, nor God, nor creation itself can contain. And so the first blow would soon fall. Not of fists, but of will, identity, and reality. The devil who would not kneel. The being who had never known resistance. Somewhere, in 1,000 different realms, seers wept. Kronos staggered, and in the hearts of mortals, a strange silence filled the air. For the first time in all of existence, power and purpose would collide. It began not with a sound, but with absence. The sudden loss of meaning as the first wave of energy left Lucifer Morningstar's hand. The blast wasn't fire, nor light, nor force. It was truth pulled from the root of creation, compressed into a singular blade of will and hurled across eternity. Where it passed, stars inverted, laws of physics bowed in reverence. Even narrative threads, the backbone of all fiction and lore, frayed at its presence, and yet the Beyonder stood unmoved. His body, if it could be called that, didn't react. Instead, the universe around him recoiled, shielding its wielder instinctively, as if existence itself feared what he might become when provoked. Lucifer narrowed his eyes. You're not defending, he whispered. You're absorbing. With a thought, Lucifer split himself into infinite aspects. The morning star of every alternate DC reality, every what if the presence had whispered into creation. They merged into a single figure, a blinding paradox of multiversal might. Let's test your everything. He struck. Galaxies spiraled into spears. Time became a coil around the Beyonder's essence, twisted and looped to strangle him with entropy. Lucifer rewrote causality, forcing the Beyonder to be unmade before he had arrived. But the Beyonder simply rewrote the rewrite. You manipulate what is. I command what can never be. He raised a single finger, and Lucifer's entire void shuddered. Dimensions cracked. One of Lucifer's backup realms collapsed in on itself, folding like a page erased from a divine book. Lucifer growled. You don't fight with elegance, you fight with arrogance. I do not fight at all, Beyonder replied. I merely express myself. And with that, the Beyonder expressed the end of definition. Lucifer's armor of divine radiance melted. His multiversal forms flickered, not vanishing, but questioning their own legitimacy. His very identity buckled under the weight of the Beyonder's presence. Still, the devil didn't fall. No, he laughed. I see now. You are everything and nothing. A child god, curious about fire. And yet, Beyonder said, you burn. Lucifer roared, invoking a secret name, known only to the presence, a word that no ear had heard since the fall of the first angel. Reality halted. Even the Beyonder, for a flickering microsecond, paused. It was the devil's trump card. Lucifer gathered the full might of the DC creation, the weight of destiny, the judgment of the source, the narrative power of the overvoid, the rage of fallen angels, and the dreams of mortal prophets, and wove it into a final strike. One strike. One impossible concept made real. He drove it into the Beyonder, and for a moment, the Beyonder's light dimmed. The entire Marvel multiverse shook. Celestials fell to their knees. Eternity cried out. Even the one above all leaned forward. Something had truly struck the Beyonder's essence. Lucifer dropped to one knee, drained, scorched, and smiling. "That was my masterpiece," he whispered. "A reality blade sharpened by belief and story. You shouldn't have survived it." "I did not," the Beyonder answered. Lucifer blinked. "I became something else." The Beyonder ascended again, no longer just the sum of marvels. Narrative omnipotence. The strike had evolved him, forcing self-awareness beyond even his prior infinity. He reached forward, and with a gesture, he removed Lucifer from the concept of victory. Lucifer staggered, his body intact, his mind reeling, his free will still, unbroken. But he knew it was over, not because he had lost in strength, but because the Beyonder now operated above competition. "You didn't defeat me," Lucifer muttered. "You rewrote the need to." "You fascinate me," Beyonder replied. "You came closer than any, but in the end, I'm still all." Lucifer nodded, humbled but never humiliated. "Then go back to your everything," he said. "But know this, no matter how vast your being becomes, as long as I choose, I will remain something you cannot command. Free." The Beyonder paused, a flicker of respect passing through the endless void of his gaze, and then he vanished. Lucifer sat alone, surrounded by a void he had reshaped 1,000 times. But for the first time, he did not light a cigarette. He simply looked at the stars and whispered, "Even gods must evolve."